Hi, in this video, we are going to talk about how to build array. Build array is almost opposite to the index function that we have studied in the last video. So to build array, first method to build array is using build array function. For build array function, go to array and then click on build array. Build array is you can expand this function in a way that you can define all the elements that you want to have within an array. And this is my output. So let me reinitialize the values. So now if I run it, you will see 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. And these are the values that we have provided over here. So this is how we build array programmatically, right? The other way to build an array is using initialize array. For initialize array, you have to go to array and then initialize array. In initialize array, you have to provide an element value and the number of dimension. So now I've just run it, you can see 5 elements of 9 value, right? 9 value and 5 dimension. This is another way. The third way is using for loops. Just like opposite the auto indexing function of for loop, we have in the to generate the output array, we can generate the output array using for loops as well. Over here, we have determined that this loop will run 5 times. That means we have this tunnel. Instead of tunnel, we have this auto indexing enabled option. What it will do is it will concatenate the values that which is passing through this tunnel. So for example, this function generates a random value between 0 and 1. So whenever I run the code, it will generate a random value of 0 and 1. And every time the value passes or goes into this tunnel, it will concatenate into an array one behind another. So now let me show you. This is my for loop. So now if I run it, you will see this is an array of 5 elements, right? Because the for loop is running 5 times, right? So since this is a random number generator, so for every time when we run, a new value will appear, right? But the total number of elements is 5 only. If I change it to maybe 2, you will see only 2 elements. So this is the third way to generate array programmatically. The third way to generate array programmatically is using while loop. Again, similar to the index function, in while loop, we have auto indexing disabled. I would not recommend you to use this using while loops. But again, as you can see, I've wired true over here. So that means the while loop will run only once and it will generate only one value over here. If I click false over here and provide some delay, let me show you. Let's say I have a delay of change to constant and I have a delay of 100 millisecond. And if I run the code, you will see there is no value coming over here because because the while loop has not stopped yet. So if I stop this value, so we have to create a stop condition. Now this is my stop condition. So whenever I press this button, the while loop will stop and we have the output array with us. So we have to keep in mind that what are all the values that are currently being populated inside the array and outside the array. So if I stop it, now you can see all the values have been loaded up inside this array. So this is how we generate 1D array. Again, to generate 2D array, what we can do is we have one build array over here. Let's place another build array like this, delete this and expand this of the same value, let's say. So we have now 1D array and then 2D, 1D array plus 1D array is equivalent to, now we have 2D array. Let me quickly create an indicator. Now this is my indicator. Let's place it over here, expand it. And if I run it, you will see I have 0 to 468 and 0 to 468, which is basically 2 rows of this array or this build array, right? So this is how we create 2D array using build array. Again, in initialize array, you have to provide 2 dimensions just like this and change the dimension of this. And now if I run the code, you will see I have 2D array of over here as well. Similar concept with for loop. To generate 2D array, you have to provide 2 for loops over here. Now, as you can see, again, wire with 2. So at the moment, auto indexing is disabled. So what you have to do is right click on the tunnel, go to tunnel, and instead of last value, click on indexing. And if you click on indexing, you will see a thin wire, that is element, a thick wire, which is 1D array, and then we have broken arrow. Let's create a new indicator, and we have 2 wires, which means 2D array. So this is my, now if I run the code, you will see I have 4 values because the inside loop will run twice and the outside loop will run twice. If I delete it and let's place value 5 and run it again, now you can see the inside loop is for column and the outside loop is for rows. So we have 2 rows and 5 columns. So this is how we deal with 2D arrays when we want to build a new array of whether one dimension or two dimension.